What is up, everybody? It is MrRickyStephen. I've got the Blue Eyes White Dragon MrRickyStephen Super Spicy Ultra Special deck profile for Master Duel. That's what we're going to be looking at today. I've been really looking forward to showing off this deck profile. Blue Eyes is my bread and butter. It is my main deck. It is what I brand myself off of. I love Blue Eyes White Dragon. Will never give up on Blue Eyes White Dragon. And now today I'm showing you the deck profile that I believe 100% through all my research, through all my playtesting, that this is the best way to go with a Blue Eyes deck build. So with Blue Eyes, the pure variance of the decks, it's basically just make big beat sticks, smack your opponent, and hope to God that they don't have any form of interruption. It's not really working anymore. There's too many forms of interruptions that Blue Eyes has to get around, that simply going for an OTK beatdown method is just inefficient, and it's not the best way to utilize all of these amazing level 8 light attribute dragons that you have at your disposal. When you look at it that way, when you break down cards to their base attributes, you start to see a lot more fluidity and what it can work with, and a lot more synergy with other archetypes. Blue Eyes Dragoonides, I've tried Blue Eyes Dragon Link, but this is the one that I have come down to as the most efficient way and the most consistent way to build a Blue Eyes deck. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Here it is, the MrRickyStephen Super Spicy Ultra Special 5000 new way to play Blue Eyes White Dragons. Obviously, you're gonna have 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. Now, I know that's not new, obviously, but it's standard within any sort of Blue Eyes deck build. If you are not playing Blue Eyes White Dragon at 3, you're not playing Blue Eyes. You're playing a dragon deck. Running 1 copy of White Stone of Legend, you only really need the 1 copy for that extra search. Can be searched by Sage with Eyes of Blue. You can discard it for Melody of Awakening Dragons or Chaos Space, which you will see in the deck build here. Helps with your consistency. It helps with maintaining your resource advantage. Just a very good card, but you only need 1 copy of, because really once you pop it and you get those Blue Eyes out, it's kind of dead after that, and really at that point it's graveyard fodder. Running 2 copies of Effect Veiler. Though Effect Veiler is searchable with Sage, most of the times I'm finding myself searching White Stone of Legends to use for that discard fodder and gains a little bit more advantage. So having 2 Effect Veilers, allowing it with a more possibility in your opening hand, it definitely helps out with the consistency of the deck. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best solution, and Effect Veiler is essentially a searchable infinite imperm, which is fantastic in the deck. 1 copy of Jet Synchron, because Jet Synchron is free in Master Duel. I was so happy to see Jet Synchron not being semi-limited, not being limited, not being banned, but full on free, because Jet Synchron is an absolute boss level 1 tuner monster, on the same level as Glow Up Ball, but very good for the level 9 synchro plays, going from Spirit Dragon and then tuning with the Black Rose Moonlight Dragon that was summoned off of the Spirit Dragon to go into Crystal Wing. Works really well with Halka-Fibrax being able to tutor the Jet Synchron out of your deck to go into these further combos. Just need the 1 copy of, because it's so accessible with cards like Halka-Fibrax. You only need the 1, but 1 is just enough. 3 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue, also fairly standard in a Blue Eyes deck build. You're going to be running 3 Sage with Eyes of Blues. It's just too good for the deck. Being able to search out your level 1 light tuners like White Stone of Legends, White Stone of Ancients, Effect Veiler. Most of the time you're using it because it's just a very good normal summon, and also starts off your plays for Halka-Fibrax. Who can argue with a card that searches a hand trap? Come on, who can argue with that? 3 copies of White Stone of Ancients. You can run it at 2 if you feel that you want to maybe run more hand traps, more counters. I personally like it at 3. Because I want to be summoning up Blue Eyes for my deck as much as I can, and also having that recycling power with White Stone of Ancients, able to bring back the Blue Eyes into your hand, does come in handy a lot, especially since we're running only 1 copy of Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. Going into our standard hand trap lineup, 3 copies of Maxi, but only 2 Ash Blossoms. Through playtesting, I noticed that 3 Ash Blossoms was a little bit cloggy in the deck, because Blue Eyes is already a bit of a bricky deck. This is a fact. We're running 3 vanillas. This one requires the vanilla to be summoned, and then you get a lot of level 8 monsters. It is a pretty bricky deck, unless you plan for it. So running Ash Blossom at 3, and then sometimes drawing into hands like 2 Ash Blossoms, 2 vanilla Blue Eyes, that really bricks up your hand. So running it actually at 2 Ash Blossoms reduces the risk of you double drawing into your Ash Blossom, because having 2 Ash Blossoms in your starting hand means one of them is dead. It is a once per turn hand trap, so having 2 Ash Blossoms, 2 Effect Veilers, I find is a better consistency opening hands. You're more than likely going to be drawing into like 1 Effect Veiler, 1 Ash Blossom. I know it's a little bit, it might sound a little bit weird, but run Ash Blossom at 2. Don't run it at 3 in a Blue Eyes deck because you're already running enough bricks as is. 1 copy of White Dragon Wyvern Burster and 1 copy of Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. Only need 1 copy of each, even though they are free in Master Duel. You don't need to run multiple copies of it because they're both searchable by Chaos Space. Running them at 1 is just where you want it to be. It's the Goldilocks zone. We already know why they're so good. Simply special summoning themselves, banish a dark monster or a light monster corresponding to which one they are. Summon out Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, link summon with it, then search with Black Hut. Holy crap, I'm sorry. Just the names are a little bit of a tongue twister. White Dragon Wyvern Burster, Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. White Dragon Wyvern Burster, Black Dragon Collapse. Let's move on here. Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. You don't need to run 2 or 3 Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragons. Alternative is a dead card in your hand, a little bit more of a brick than Blue Eyes White Dragon, specifically if you draw it without the Blue Eyes White Dragon. So we want to minimize the chances of that happening as much as possible. And on the brighter side, Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon is searchable by Melody of Awakening Dragons, which is our main searcher for the deck. So we don't have to worry about it being at 1 and locked into our deck because it's very easy for you to go into it, searching it out with the Melody and also getting the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Running 1 copy of Dragon Spirit of White. Don't want to, it's again another brick if you get it into your opening hand. You want to summon it off from the deck with White Stone of Ancients and then get it to the graveyard, get it cycling through as quick as possible because it's just an easy card to help deal with back row because it banishes the back row, banishes spells and traps. Running 1 copy of Chaos Dragon Levianeer. It's searchable with Melody of Awakening Dragons, searchable with Chaos Space, so you only really need to run it at 1. Very good extender, and that's all we're really using it for. It's just an extender. It's not a combo piece. It's just a level 8 dragon that helps us revive stuff from the graveyard going into easy Xyz plays, Synchro plays, Link plays, just to help extend your board a little bit. 2 copies of Nebula Dragon to match with our 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Nebula Dragon, fantastic card to have. Have Nebula Dragon and Blue Eyes White Dragon or Dragon Spirit of White. I can just summon both to the field, go for the Xyz overlay, land on Hope Harbinger. Going into our spells and trap lineup, 1 copy of Regeki just to deal with those already established boards, put some pressure on them, bait out any negates, and if they don't have anything, then you're blowing up the entire field and you're free to go for that OTK play. 1 copy of Monster Reborn, very good extender. Specifically in this deck, we use it to revive not only Blue Eyes White Dragons or any of our main deck monsters, but a lot of our Link monsters, because the other 2 ways of revival we have are Return of the Awakening, Return of the Dragon Lords, this one, yeah, Return of the Dragon Lords, and Chaos Dragon Levianeer, which do have restrictions. Having that just free, open, special summon extender is fantastic to have, especially with Link monsters like Halka-Firex. Running the 1 copy of Dragon's Mirror, that's the absolute spice. That is the red pepper seasoning. I find it's a personal pick of mine. It's a card that I enjoy, and it's got me a lot of comeback from behind victories. Drawing into Dragon's Mirror, top decking into it, slapping on the field, going into Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and attacking 3 times with a 4500 body is absolutely insane. It's an anime moment. It's a great comeback from behind victory. Good for comebacks, good for regaining that ground that you might have lost and clinching the game. It's great for clinching the game. Our next card is Trade In. Pretty standard card here. It's fairly simple of the reason why I'm running it. Discard a level 8 monster, draw 2 cards. Get rid of dead cards in your hand for better resources. That's why I traded it there. Melody of Awakening Dragons, very, very standard in Blue Eyes builds. You're running it at 3 no matter what Blue Eyes build you're doing because it's just that good. Discard a card, add up to 2 dragon monsters with 3,000 or more attack points and 2,500 or less defense points from your deck to your hand. Any dragon monster with 3,000 or more attack and 2,500 or less defense, which obviously means Blue Eyes White Dragons being, the vanilla or alternative, but it also means Chaos Dragon Levianeer, because see, 3,000 or more attack points, 2,500 or less defense points. If you're building a Blue Eyes deck, really take a look at what other dragons you can get in your deck and what other dragons you can search with Melody. I know for a fact that with Chaos Max, you can search Chaos Max with Melody because it's 3,000 or more attack, 2,500 or less defense. It's not just for Blue Eyes. There are more dragons that can be searched by it, so make sure to pay attention to that. 2 Return to the Dragon Lords, fantastic extenders, revive a level 7 or 8 dragon from your graveyard, special summon it, and if it's in the graveyard, you can protect one of your dragons from being destroyed by battle or card effect, allowing you that extra little layer of defense. So it's an extender that gives you some defense. What's not to love? 3 copies of Chaos Space, absolutely fantastic Surge card. It is probably one of my favorite Surge cards out there besides Melody of Awakening Dragons because it's just so good, allowing you to search out your Chaos Dragon Levianeer, your Blue Eyes alternative White Dragon, because alternative White Dragon states it cannot be normal summoned or set. Also searching out your level 4 Chaos Dragons, the White Dragon Wyvern Burster and Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. But the cherry on top of the cake, this delicious cake that we've been eating, it lets you get advantage by drawing a card from your deck by recycling your cards that cannot be normal summoned or set from the banish zone back into the deck, getting you a draw off of it, allowing you to dig into your deck a lot more, recycle materials. But the one thing that I learned about it through playtesting, which I didn't expect before, was not only can it add White Dragon Wyvern Burster, Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon, and Chaos Dragon Levianeer back from the banish zone into the deck, it can also add any of your extra deck monsters back into the extra deck because inherently they cannot be normal summoned or set. So you can return stuff like Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, Crystal Wing, Hope Harbinger, Hieratic Seal. It recycles and gets you a draw, which is just fantastic. 2 copies of Called by the Grave because I want my combos to go off. I don't want my opponent to stop my combos, so I need to have that insurance policy with Called by the Grave. Moving on to the extra deck, got 1 copy of Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon, running it because of the effect of Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, but also because it is an easy contact fusion to go into to also push for game and to deal with some monsters that you might be having a hard time with, because if it fails to destroy a monster by battle at the end of the damage step, you can banish that opponent's monster. Non-targeting banishment. 2 copies of Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon that we summon off of the Dragon's Mirror. Again, this is the card that helps close games or helps give you comeback victories. It is an underrated Blue Eyes card with minimal investment in the main deck, a little bit more investment in the extra deck, and the extra deck is already tight as is, so you might not want to run it, but I think I figured out the extra deck that allows you that space for it. You do need multiple Blue Eyes fusion monsters in your extra deck to make Neo Blue Eyes work. When it attacks, if it's the only face-up card on your side of the field, you can send a Blue Eyes fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard to attack again immediately. And it can do it up to twice per turn, giving it to a total of 3 attacks, 1 for each head. And when it's in the graveyard, which is why we run a second copy of Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, if it's in the graveyard and a card would activate that targets your Blue Eyes monsters, you can banish it from the graveyard to negate the effect and destroy that card. So kind of like Return to the Dragon Lords, not only does it help you push for that game, if you happen to fail or your opponent has a little trick up their sleeve that allows them to live a turn, you get a little bit of extra protection out of it to hopefully make you last until the next turn to really close that victory. There's 1 copy of Formula Synchron, which we summon off of Halka Fibrax. Halka Fibrax goes into Formula Synchron, which we use to summon out cards like Satellite Warrior. Formula Synchron also can get you a +1 if you summon it at the right time. The really important thing here is mistiming, because Formula Synchron is a when effect, not an if effect. The +1 isn't too important. The more important thing is allowing it to synchro summon during your opponent's turn. Black Rose Moonlight Dragon that I summon off of the Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. Black Rose Moonlight Dragon allowing that extra bit of interruption, being able to bounce a special summon monster your opponent controls back to the hand or extra deck. Level 7 Light Dragon, so you tune it with the Jet Synchron to be able to bring out our next card, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Crystal Wing, very easy card to go into with this deck. Very simple combos and it's also a part of other combos as well. Very easy card to get out with the Spirit Dragon and Jet Synchron. Just use Spirit Dragon, like I said before. Use Spirit Dragon, go into Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, tune it with Jet Synchron, which you revive from the graveyard by pitching a card from your hand. Summon out the Crystal Wing. Fantastic card to have. It's a once per turn negation. so it gives you that interruption. I don't think I need to explain much about Crystal Wing. It speaks for itself. It's a fantastic card. If you can make it, run it. Cloud Castle, running in this deck to go for the VFD plays. You can tune it with Crystal Wing. You can use Formula Synchron with Black Rose Moonlight Dragon to make it, or just any of your level 1 tuner monsters and a level 8 dragon, which you run plenty of. To summon it out, you revive the Blue Eye Spirit Dragon and then overlay for VFD. The main thing it's here for is for the VFD combo. Been talking a lot about this guy. Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, absolutely fantastic synchro monster, underrated synchro monster, fantastic for Blue Eyes decks. If you're running a Blue Eyes decks, you need to be running Spirit Dragon. It's fantastic. Shuts down pendulum plays, shuts down any plays that summons multiple monsters in a turn. So Numerons, it shuts down Numerons as well because they gotta summon out all those cards at once. Your opponent can neither you nor your opponent can special summon 2 or more monsters at the same time. So all of those simultaneous summons, not happening anymore. And then, of course, it hits the graveyard once per turn when an effect of a card in the graveyard is activated. Negate the activation. A lot of times, you're just using it to go into other things, but on its own, it's a fantastic little wall that can hit a lot of very specific decks. I'd say its role is very niche. Satellite Warrior. Satellite Warrior is essentially a bit of a replacement for Baron de Fleur, which is not in the game yet, but will eventually become part of the game. However, I think it's going to have more of a permanent place in this deck than I previously thought, because through playtesting with it, it actually has a much more devastating effect, especially since you use it during your opponent's turn. By ending on a board with Crystal Wing and Halka Firex, using Halka Firex to go into Formula Synchron, getting that extra +1 if you can, then you use Formula Synchron to tune with your Crystal Wing. Once Crystal Wing has burned through its effects and it is no longer useful during your opponent's turn, Synchro Summon with that to go into Satellite Warrior. When Satellite Warrior is Synchro Summoned, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of Synchro monsters in your graveyard and destroy them. So through the combos of going from Spirit Dragon to Black Rose Moonlight to Crystal Wing and Formula Synchron, you will have 4 Synchro monsters in your graveyard, meaning during your opponent's turn, when you drop this guy, you are going to be targeting and destroying up to 4 cards on their side of the field. We can deal with back row, or we can deal with an established board, or if you think your opponent's going to be going into some big link plays, like they just filled their field with these material monsters, slap the Satellite Warrior on there, pop them all before your opponent gets a chance to use them. The little cherry on top of all of that is it gains 1,000 attack points for each card destroyed. And the reason I might keep this after Baron de Fleur comes out is because if it is destroyed, you can special summon up to 3 level 8 or lower Warrior Synchron and or Stardust Synchro monsters with different names from your graveyard. So we're going to be bringing back the Formula Synchron, which you can then use later on or in the same turn when Baron de Fleur comes out to synchro with one of your level 8 monsters, summon out Baron de Fleur, have some and just continue on this series of negates and interruptions and interactions with your opponent. Hope Harbinger, staple in Blue Eyes decks. I find it a staple. I can never bring myself to cut out Hope Harbinger because of the spell negation. Being able to negate a spell and attach it to it as material gets around a lot of spell cards with graveyard effects. It's a fantastic card to have. Easy rank 8 for spell negation. Easy peasy. Want it on the field. You're good to go. VFD, the true king of all calamities. I don't think I need to explain this one too much. You summon it on the field, wait for your opponent to try and activate an effect, declare the attribute, and just say you're not doing anything for the rest of this turn while I continue placing 3,000 bodies on the board. Just shutting down my opponent for a turn is always fun. However, when Baron de Fleur comes out, I do think I am going to be replacing True King of All Calamities and Cloud Castle with Baron de Fleur and some other and another card just to kind of fill up the space and give me more options, because just having this one, going through all that work to just end on one floodgate, I'd rather go into stuff like the Crystal Wing and Halka Firex, so I can go Satellite Warrior, Baron de Fleur again when Baron de Fleur comes out in Master Duel, which should be sometime soon. Gotta have the Link Karibo. We're running a lot of level 1 monsters, so having Link Karibo, honestly, it comes in handy a lot. If you have absolutely nothing in your hand, like if you have Sage but nothing else to combo it off of, summon Sage, search the effect Veiler, link away Sage for Link Karibo. You can at least last a turn because Link Karibo is going to decrease your opponent's attack points to 0, giving you that opportunity to live for a turn, provide some interruptions for your opponent, hopefully slow down their plays enough for you to make it up in the second turn and then go for that game. Pretty basic card for Dragon decks. If you're running a Dragon deck and you're not running Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, what are you doing? Just what are you doing? Takes 2 dragon monsters to make, and it bounces an opponent's card during their turn. And if you trip it itself, which you're most likely going to be doing, you can special summon another dragon from your deck. It just, the attack and defense goes down to 0. Most of the time, you're going to be summoning out Whitestone of Ancients, baiting your opponent into attacking it, and then summoning out a full-powered Blue Eyes during the end phase. You can also summon out cards like Blue Eyes White Dragon, the Dragon Spirit of White, because the Dragon Spirit of White will not have its effects negated by Heretic Seal's effect. Crystron Halqifibrax, been talking a lot about Crystron Halqifibrax. 2 monsters, including a tuner, which we have plenty of. It's easy to go into with cards like White Dragon Wyvern Burster. Got your tuners like Sage and Whitestone of Ancients, Whitestone of Legend, even Effect Veiler if you're that desperate. But making Halqifibrax is very advantageous in this deck. Allows you to tuner out the Jet Synchron, can banish itself during your opponent's turn to summon out the Formula Synchron, which, as I've stated before, will let you go into your Satellite Warrior, popping up to 4 cards in your opponent's side of the field. It's just a very simple card to land off of. It doesn't look threatening, but its utility is fantastic. Blue Eyes is surprisingly heavy on synchro summoning. The last card we have in the extra deck is Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. Appaloosa is a great card to go into, because if you don't have the opportunity to go into Crystal Wing with Halqifibrax, you can at the very least, with going like Sage with Wyvern Burster or Collapse Serpent, linking those 2 together for Halqifibrax, bringing out Jet Synchron or a Whitestone of Ancients, depending on what the board state is or what board you're intending to go for. And then after searching the opposite of Black or White Dragon, you special summon that to the field. You got a link 2 plus 2 monsters. Go for link 4 Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess with 3 negates ready to go, and usually you'll have 1 or 2 hand traps in your hand, which it's a very simple board, but it gives you a lot to do, so it allows you to last that turn. So that's one of the main things that I enjoy about this deck, is that even in the very simple plays, you do have a lot that you can do during your opponent's turn, a lot of interactivity to help slow them down or just straight up stop their plays from happening. So you can take that second turn opportunity to open up the board, open up the floodgates, and just go for game. So now I have some replays that I would love to show you. Got some replays of the Blue Eyes White Dragon build that you see currently right here. So why don't I show you those, and then we'll come back, go have a couple little final cliff notes, and then that'll be it. So here it is, some replays with this Blue Eyes White Dragon, MrRickyStephen, super spicy, ultra special, stupendous new standard to play Blue Eyes White Dragon. Check it out. I'll be right back. And that's it. That's the deck profile. Thank you all very much for watching. I do have some more deck profiles that I'm looking forward to showing you coming down the line. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on TikTok at MrRickyStephen for more Yu-Gi-Oh memes and Yu-Gi-Oh info and all the fun things that you can find on there. Be sure to also follow me on my Twitch at MrRickyStevens_Yu-Gi-Oh if you want to be a part of live Master Duel content and we can just hang out and just have a good time. Just have a nice chill time. But until the day comes, I hope you all enjoyed the MrRickyStephen Super Special Ultra Spicy Blue Eyes deck build, and I will see you in the next video. See, now my mouth is all dry. Bye!